Congratulations.
Five, four, three, two, one, zero.
What up, fight fans? Welcome to another edition of Web Boxing 101, live from El Paso, Texas, the 915 here from the installations of Warriors Edge Boxing Gym and Promotions. I am Tree, your host, and with us is Mr. Hitman here to my right or left, Herman Delgado, the Hitman, and man, what an honor to have the myth, the legend, the one and only Mr. Tony Weeks. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Man, Tony, you don't know how much I'm so excited to have you. Just for you to take the time to talk to us says a lot about you, man. I mean, you're an excellent guy. The last time I saw you, Tony, you were in Vado, New Mexico, and I think I sent you a picture. You took a picture with me and my son, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, that made my son's an amateur boxer, and it made his day, man. He told everybody, man. He did a picture and he put it up in his room. And he cut me out. What the fuck?
Oh man.
So Tony, you're in Las Vegas. How's that over there right now? Is everything getting back to normality?
Slowly but surely. They talking about opening up the arenas again with limited fans, of course, and Vegas, is an attraction, so we have a lot of out of state people coming here, and so it could be a little difficult at times.
Yeah, and you know what? I figure like Las Vegas is in competition with other states. For example, it seems like all the fights are in Texas right now.
Yeah,
right? Because of the full capacity, or I don't know. I mean,
that's primarily a lot of other states are really opening up, and it's about the money, and the promoters can't make that much money just with no fan audience.
Right, and I mean one of the big fights. They've been in Dallas, all over Texas, and we figure because Texas is opening up, not going back to normality. One thing that kind of was weird that we have the Munguia fight here in El Paso in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I mean, Munguia, Golden Boy Promotions will be in El Paso, and they don't have it 100%. It's going to be a 40% capacity, right, Herman?
Yeah, I believe so. That's why the ticket prices went up pretty high.
Yeah, so they got to make their money, right? But I'm just glad that everything's going back to normality, right, Tony? And
absolutely. I mean, it's totally different without the crowd. It's not the same energy. It's not the same vibe. When you especially here in Vegas, T-Mobile Arena, MGM Grand, Mandalay Bay, you have a full capacity. You can feel the electricity, the celebrities, everybody's there. It just adds to the fight.
Right.
Even watching other sports on TV, you're watching the basketball game, and it doesn't. The vibration's not there. The feeling's not there without the fans. All around.
Yeah, and you know what, Tony, you said that there's no, the energy and all that. You guys, and I imagine a spectator or somebody watching it on TV, and then they have that fake sound of crowd. It's just not the same, man.
No.
I mean,
it really shows the importance of the fans. It really did.
Right.
Yeah, and people, you talk about home court advantage or for certain baseball teams, basketball teams, football teams, or even in boxing. yeah, the vibe is not there. You know, is this? You know, I'm one good thing. You know, we don't get heckled that much though.
Yeah, and we're gonna get into those questions, man. Um, Tony, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Growing up, family.
Yeah, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York.
Wow, Brooklyn.
Yeah. I'm the youngest. I just have a sister. My sister and both my parents are passed away. Uh, and you know, you know, growing up in Brooklyn is or any inner city, but especially in Brooklyn, you know, it really toughens you up. You know, you're exposed to a lot of things where a lot of uh, other places, small towns, so forth, that may be sheltered away from a lot of things. But growing up in Brooklyn, it was amazing. You know, people asking me, you know, if I had to do it all over again, would I want to grow up somewhere else? No, I wouldn't want to grow up anywhere else but Brooklyn, New York.
And that was because was it rough up there, Tony?
Oh,
Is that
absolutely.
why? Right.
Absolutely. You had the gangs, you had the crime, the drugs, everything around you, but for me growing up, sports was my way out. I always was an athletic guy. I played football and I ran track, so I was always involved in some type of activity. And I did my excuse me, I did martial arts also. So I was always involved in some activity and wasn't really in the streets, so to speak.
And you talk about that's the person you are because of where you grew up.
Oh, absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
and this is what I always say, and I Herman would see me. I run a gym here in El Paso, Tony.
Yeah.
It's a small gym.
Mm-hmm.
It's my hobby. I'm a 23-year veteran of the El Paso County Sheriff's Office, and
Okay.
I made it a mission to help kids and bring people like Herman to help kids. And I always say this, man, I had a good childhood. It was rough.
Mm-hmm.
We were
Yeah.
playing outside,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of sometimes feel bad because I do have kids that
Mm-hmm.
I wish they would have had an upbringing like mine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not their fault. It's just the world we live in. That
Absolutely.
we were, it's not their fault. I mean, it's a
No.
technology world. They're always inside. It's harder to get they get kids in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Man, just times were different, man. And so I'm kind of happy, like you say, Tony, because my upbringing, the toughness of my parents, and
Mm-hmm.
made me who I am. Because I'll share a story
Yes.
with you. My
Mm-hmm.
dad would God, man, he would every day when I was about to graduate. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Apply for this. Apply for that. You know that I applied for the
Yeah.
sheriff's office, so I can just have them. Just I'm gonna do
Yeah.
it. And now, 23 years later, Tony,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thank him.
Yes.
I
Yes.
thank him. And
Yes.
it was rough upbringing, man, but
Oh,
it's
yeah.
tough. So
Absolutely. The one thing, youth is a beautiful thing, but a lot of times, the young kids, they don't really understand uh, that the road that they're on, we already been there. We know what's down that road. And it's the same thing like what your father was letting you know. He been down that road, so he knew, he understood, what was happening, what you needed to do in order to be successful. Yeah, now's the time to think about what you want to do. Now's the time to think about your future. And a lot of kids, like I say, with today's technology, they on the cell phones all the time, internet, and so forth and so on. And uh, a lot of times they don't really think about being in the future when the time comes to really think about it and really know and understand what you want to do and what you want to be.
I think I refer to that as all these kids nowadays, the entitled generation.
Mm-hmm.
They think they're entitled to everything where they don't have to work as hard for it
Yeah.
like we did. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
it's kind of
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's funny. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
no, that's okay, Tony.
It's funny when you say it because I remember growing up. We weren't poor. We weren't rich. But I remember growing up in the inner city, and we lived in a small apartment, and always when I said, man, why couldn't my parents be rich? Why couldn't I be born into money and stuff? And
I remember that.
yeah, and now that I'm an adult and I look back at that, and I'm saying I'm glad they didn't, because when you're born into money, you miss a lot. It's like we all travel in that same road. You have the express train and you have the local train. And that express train, we're all going to end up at the same destination. And that's express train to go straight there. But that local train makes all those stops. And what's at every stop. The express train, they'll have no idea. So, no, I wouldn't want to, if I had to do it all over again, I don't want to be born into money.
Yeah, and then when kids fall off that express train now, they don't know what to do. What's next?
Yeah.
What do we do? What do you do?
Absolutely.
Call dad.
Or if they have it the easy way. A prime
Yeah.
example, and again, this is me. A prime example is Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. had it rough. And then you look at his son on the express train, everything was given to him, and look at how he's turned out. Do you think that's the case? I mean, I don't know.
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. Senior was hungry. Senior came from nothing. So he had to fight for everything he had. When something is already there for you, you don't really have to put forth the effort. And you're not really thinking about, well, if it doesn't make it, I still have this to fall back on. No, Senior had nothing to fall back on, so his motivation was even more powerful and more determined, to make it. So it definitely makes a difference,
It does. I mean, like you say, man, it's that. I mean, you really have to fight. And now if it was given to you, you're not going to appreciate the things and this is, on that note, I had a gift given to me by one of my cadet classes, sheriff's cadet classes. They gave me a plaque with a crank on it, a window crank on the plaque. And my philosophy behind that is that we used to work for things.
Yeah.
Now we just can say the car, roll down the window, a motherfucker does it by itself.
Yeah, push the button, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so easy,
Yeah.
But and I hang that pride in my office at my office at work, and it reminded me that yeah, man, back then we had to work for stuff, man, and it's unfortunate. It's not the kid's fault now.
No.
But you know what? It has been challenging to fill the gym up with kids like when I used to grow up and go to the rec centers.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So. So, Tony, you tell us that you were in martial arts. Did you ever box when you were growing up?
No, I just competed in martial arts. Yeah, I did. Yeah,
wow.
I was always into boxing. Because I grew up during the Ali era, Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier's, all the great fighters of that era. So I was always into boxing and really loved it. But I was more so into martial arts because once again, growing up in the inner city, it was about protection. It wasn't about competing. It was about protection. That was the bottom line. Yeah.
But you know what, Tony Mac? Protection. You're a big guy.
Hey, but there's some bigger guys out there.
How tall are you?
And even the little guys, when they're in the group, it's different. Yeah.
Right.
But Tony, I think that all the sports that you were involved is what gives you that boost of confidence when you step in that ring between these fighters and say, break. It's like, you're in charge. I'm in charge.
Absolutely.
I think sports has a lot to do with that.
I learned discipline at an early age. And I didn't know it at the time, what I was learning, what I was going through. But I learned discipline. And I learned to have the confidence within myself. I give you an example. I tried out for a Part 1 football team. I made the team. My first year, it wasn't good. It wasn't that bad, but it wasn't good. I was a running back, and the coach really wanted to bench me, but he didn't because I was the only one that was dedicated. I would come to practice all the time and really work at it. But the following year, when I came back, I had an outstanding year. I won the outstanding back of the conference and outstanding most valuable back of my team. And the thing about it is, because I stuck with it, and because I had the confidence within myself that I can do it. A lot of people have tried to discourage me. Oh, you're too small. They'll break you. And you don't have this, you don't have that. But in my mind, this is what I wanted to do. All the skills that I have today, I developed growing up in the inner cities.
Wow. Folks, we're with Tony Weeks. What a pleasure to have you, my friend. And
My pleasure.
here on our podcast, man, it's just an absolute thrill to have you, man.
My pleasure.
The first time I ever saw you, Tony, and
Mm-hmm.
out of respect, I'll sometimes say Mister, and all right, Tony, sorry, man. It's
That's
just
okay.
respect, brother. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You're, God, man, I'm just, fuck, it's awesome, man. I'm going to talk about this for a long time, man. But the first time I saw you, it was one of the most epic fights, probably made me a boxing fan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 3 men were up on that ring, 3 warriors, May 7th, 2005. And I know you've been talked about this fight. Tell us. It was a 12-round lightweight unification bout between Diego Chico Corrales versus Jose Luis Castillo in Vegas. Corrales won the fight in the 10th round after himself being knocked down twice in the round.
Mm-hmm.
What a fight. Tell us about the whole experience, because, Tony, people are saying you stopped it early, didn't stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God. What a fight.
Yeah. I mean, wow. To this day, that fight still, I think about it at least once every day.
Wow, man.
It comes to mind something when I'm watching boxing.
Wow.
That fight, when you're going through it in real time, you're in a good fight, but you don't really know or grasp how special this fight is.
And
And
how
when you
long
look,
it's going to be talked about.
yes, when you look at that fight, it was an even fight. Both guys were evenly matched and evenly dishing out punishment and going back and forth. In that, Diego eye started to close, but going into that 10th round, when Diego went down, I mean, it was a shock. I was, whoa, he's down, and I pick up the count. And I see the mouthpiece out, but I continue to count. I'm looking at Diego. He's looking at me. He's focused. He's ready to go. Like he was fresh from the first round. He gets up. Of course, I replaced the mouthpiece. And no sooner than I did that, Castillo puts him down again. And the mouthpiece comes out again.
Yeah.
So this time, okay, now I have to take some type of action. Okay, so I never called time. I just I did call time, but I never brought him to the center and as you usually do, indicate to each judge 1 point. As I was taking him to the corner, I was indicating to each judge 1 point, because I didn't want to waste too much time. And Joe Goosen, being an experienced trainer, he's trying to stall a little bit. So he puts the mouthpiece back in, and the fight resumes. Now, at this point, even though Corrales went down twice, both times he was still focused, and he was steady on his legs. But I was still concerned because, like I say, both fighters were taking an even amount of punishment, but Corrales is the only one that went down. So in my mind, okay, if he goes down again, I might have to possibly stop the fight. I don't know, All of a sudden, Corrales comes out with a tremendous right hand, and I'm literally shifting my concerns from Corrales to Castillo.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, and it was like a blur,
Yes.
Next thing I know, I'm jumping in and stopping the fight because Castillo went up against the ropes, and Corrales,
he was defenseless.
He was defenseless. Corrales landed a barrage of punches, and I'm an instinctive type of guy. My instincts, get in there, stop the fight.
Yeah.
Now, initially, like you say, there's some people thought it was too soon and whatever. initially the crowd was, wait a minute, what's going on here? Because it happened so fast.
It was fast.
But when they showed it on the replay, they showed that Castillo was literally, like you say, he was defenseless, and he was like a rag doll. One more punch could have been fatal.
Yeah, you're right.
There's always going to be the debate about the mouthpiece. Who knows what, but as a referee, you have to understand the situation. Some people say you should have disqualified. You can't disqualify nobody in that situation. You take a point away, and that's it. I mean, the first time the mouthpiece came out, I didn't know whether he spit it out or not, so I couldn't say. But 2 times in a row, okay, now we have to take some type of action, because you're buying some time here. But it really doesn't take away from the fight. It doesn't take away from the fighters. Both champions. They were in my mind. There were no losers that night, and I remember Richard Steele telling me, who's my mentor, by the way. He told me that referees can go throughout an entire career and not have a signature fight, and you were blessed to have a signature fight. I mean, that fight is in the book record books. One of the top 10 greatest fights of all time, greatest rounds of all time, and you couldn't have really a dramatic type of ending like you did.
And you know what? I'm glad you mentioned Richard Steele, because it brings to light another memorable fight, Meldrick Taylor against Chavez. When, boy, they criticized him for stopping that fight, but Meldrick Taylor was in another planet. And, I mean, who would have known how many seconds were left? I mean, they're so into the fight. That was one fight I was like, wow, man, he stopped it, and rightly so. So, because Meldrick Taylor can't even talk anymore. Can't even put a sentence together. Poor guy.
Absolutely. See, the one thing a lot of fans don't understand the rules. What I mean by that is there's 3 minutes in a round. And if a referee determines that within that 3 minutes, whether you can continue or you can't continue, if you can't continue, you stop the fight. If you can, you let it go on.
Yeah.
Now, people say, well, there's only 2 or 3 seconds left. Wait a minute. If Richard would have had that in mind, if let's say just a referee would have that in mind, oh, there's only 2 or 3 seconds, I'm gonna let it go. No, you'll be cheating for the other guy.
Yeah.
Because if there was more time left, you would have stopped the fight. It was unfortunate that Richard had to take that type of criticism throughout his entire career, but it was
a signature fight.
Oh yes, and it was the right thing to do. It was the right thing to do, absolutely. And really at that time, with that fight, I wasn't the referee. I was a fan, and I reacted like a fan. What are you doing? And but I understand now, and I understand the rules. I understand what it's like to be in that ring and be in a tough position. I've heard one announcer say it was the most unusual call in the history of boxing, and I say it's the most courageous call in the history of boxing.
Absolutely. And another thing, Tony, I just recently a fight, Bertel and Valdez, where I don't know why they didn't stop that fight. I blame his corner for not stopping that fight. Why they let him go out there for that 9th round, or I think it was the 10th round, because his career could be over with that beating he took. You never know.
Yeah.
But
it's tough in there. Trainers, they know their fighters better than anybody.
Of course.
And you could, forget the machismo thing. It's about someone's life.
Yep.
And that's the bottom line. When you recognize that, hey, this guy doesn't have it anymore, that the potential for him for being seriously injured, or even worse, stop the fight.
Yep.
And you mentioned one thing that it was a blur. Like in our job, let's say in my job, we always train and tell the kid, look, we got to make split-second decisions, and it can be life or death that people don't understand.
Yeah.
In your case, it's the same thing. You've got to make these split-second decisions like you said, out of instinct.
Yeah.
What if you would have let him continue and
Mm.
he gets really hurt?
Yeah.
So, man, my kudos to you guys. My respects to the refs up there. I
Thank
mean,
you.
look, man, stress factors are kicking in while you're up there. The
Oh,
crowd, everything. Your main focus is the safety of the fighters, and it's unfortunate that a lot of people that do not know,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to criticize. Oh, why did he stop
Yeah.
it so early? What if?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they're missing the point, the big picture. What a fight! And you know what, Tony? I still see it, man. I'll go
Yeah.
home, and I'll watch the fight because it was one of the best fights of all time
man.
for me.
Oh man, the funny thing about it too. Originally, I wasn't supposed to do that fight.
Wow.
They at the time, mixed martial arts were coming back, and I judged mixed martial arts, and they had a mixed martial arts event that same day, that same night, and so I was assigned to that. But really, I was okay because if you remember, the following week was the big name fight with Tito Trinidad and Winky Wright. So I was like, okay, well, I'm good. Maybe I can get the Winky Wright Tito Trinidad fight, But you saw what happened. That the Trinidad Winky Wright fight didn't
live
even
up.
measure up.
No, it didn't even live up. It was kind of boring.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, no disrespect to the fighters.
No. It just didn't live up. To
the hype.
Yeah, absolutely. And what happened with my fight with Castillo and Corrales. Actually, they were at the fight. I remember them being at ringside, and it was it just didn't measure up. But I was really blessed to have that fight, and I'm a man of faith. I don't believe in something being a coincidence. I was meant to be there that night.
And it probably, I guess, made you the badass referee you're at now, Mr. Tony Weeks. What a fight, man. Thank you. And I say things like, when I see fights, I say, thank you for letting me, God, be part, witness, appreciate the sport so much of a fight like that, man.
Yeah. Yes.
What a fight. And the second fight, you didn't ref it, right?
No.
And Castillo won?
Yeah, I believe it was, he won.
Yeah,
I believe it was a knockout.
And then
and it was a weight problem. I think
it was a weight problem. It was.
Yeah.
And that fight, and I don't know if you knew, but that fight was supposed to be taking place here in El Paso.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, and a year after that, Diego Corrales passes in a motorcycle accident.
Yeah.
And the great Chico Corrales. What a fighter, man. Let me ask you, who do you compare Chico Corrales to in the sport of boxing right now?
Wow.
Man.
Really, to be honest with you, Chico stands alone in my mind. I had the honor and pleasure of doing 2 fights with him. The first fight with Castillo.
Oh, yeah.
When he had to cut, and the doctor had to stop the fight, whatever. But anyway, when you look at Chico's physical status, built, it doesn't look like this menacing type of fighter, But man, could he punch! And man, you could just, when I'm in there, I could feel and see the heart of a fighter.
Oh man!
And this guy was just so courageous when he stepped in that ring. He would always give it, at least the fights that I've seen with him and the fights that I've done with him, he would always give it his best. And to me, he just stands alone. And as well with Castillo. Castillo will be amongst one of the the great champions, one of the great traditional Mexican champions.
I agree with you.
It's just in my mind. I can't think of anybody else.
Corrales reminds me of a lot of Alexis Arguello and Salvador Sanchez, and just that they weren't menacing. You didn't see these bulging muscles, but boy, when they punched, they put people out.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
So you talk about the safety of the fighter is paramount. Of course, I mean, people don't really understand what the function of the referee is up there, but you're always, like they say, the third man in charge of the action. You play a vital role not only in the prevailing atmosphere of the ring, but also of the safety. What warrants, in your mind, Tony, a stoppage? What would make you stop a fight? I know you said defenseless fighter. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
Well, a fighter could be outclassed. Okay, not necessarily taking a tremendous amount of punishment, but just be totally outclassed and he just has no way to win. And then as the rounds go on and you have the accumulation of punishment, that adds up. And I give you a perfect example. When I did the Angulo uh, Canelo fight, now I've done Angulo before, and I knew what type of fighter he was. But I don't know, for some reason in that fight, it was really nothing on his punches. Um, Castillo, Canelo was winning every round and landing hard shots. What made it difficult for me was Canelo really mounted an attack to really finish him. I
Yeah.
remember going into, I believe it was a fourth round or somewhere around there, and hey, we go over to the corner. We warn the guy, hey, listen, I'm getting a little concerned. You start to take a little bit more, start to take a little punishment here. I'm checking on you. Are you all right? And he's good, whatever. But the same thing happened, was carrying round after round. Uh, I went in this corner the second time I went in this corner. I brought the doctor in. The doctor, uh, looked at me and said he's okay, but monitor him. At the end of that ninth round, I believe it was the ninth round, going into the 10th, doctor comes in and uh, he looks at him and says, he might, you might be, it might be it. This might be it. So I said, okay, well, I'm gonna let the fight go on, and when I get the opportunity to stop it, I'll stop it. And when you look at that fight, Canelo wound up from a distance and threw an uppercut. That's in my opinion that an amateur wouldn't get hit by, and his head went back so violently, and I jumped in and I stopped the fight. And of course, the crowd, went berserk and booed and this, that, and the other, and but they don't understand, like you say, that a fighter could be seriously injured. You don't know what type of injuries that a fighter is going into a fight
Of
that they
course.
may have.
Yep.
Being having a long career, but I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tony. I'm sorry.
No, you just, like I say, in a lot of cases, you look at, if the guy's taking too much punishment, if there's nothing on his punches, if he doesn't have a chance to win, stop the fight. I can go by steps, like I say. I can go into the corner. Hey, I'm starting to get a little concerned.
Yeah.
Boom. Yeah. I'll give you
And you
another
know
example.
what? I'm sorry, Tony, but also you also gotta the type of fighter tells you a lot, right? If he's like an Angulo fighter, that guy was always in the middle of the ring taking a beating like an Arturo Gatti, man.
Oh,
And then you have
absolutely.
fighters that really don't take a beating. So that's
Yeah,
that you also play that
absolutely.
into account, correct?
Absolutely. I give you another example. When I did Pacquiao and De La Hoya. De La Hoya, he wasn't. He was past his prime. We all saw that.
Yep.
And I remember going into I can't remember what round it was, but I remember going into the corner, and I always talk directly to the fighter, not the trainer or anybody else. I said, "Listen, Oscar, you're taking a lot of punishment. If it continues, I'm stopping the fight," and walked away. And the trainer, one of the trainers said was convincing him, hey, that's it, stop the fight, and the corner stopped the fight. So, like I say, it's just having that instinct to see and understand, and not being afraid to pull the trigger, because you may have the most
Yeah, there you
popular
go.
fighter,
Yeah,
no,
that's
yeah,
pressure, man.
yes, absolutely.
I mean, I guess that answers my next question, Herman. That I was trying to talk about. Well, how can we make this contact sport a little bit safer? But in my mind, there's three lines of defense to the fighter, and it's the coach, the doctor, and then ultimately the third man in charge of the action. Like, and we hear that loud and clear. The referee. Three
Yeah.
lines to make the sport safer. I don't think there can be another. What else can we make it safer? I think it's you guys. You're playing a vital role to these fighters, man.
Yeah, yeah. And also, leading into the fight, these fighters passing their physicals, and making sure that they are mentally and physically able to compete with in a boxing match. But like you say, the real work begins. Real work begins when they're in that ring, and all three people, have to work together. Yeah, in there and see what's what. If like I say, if the trainer, they know the fighter better than anyone else,
Of course.
and they understand what's happening. As a referee, my experience as a referee, I can see and I can understand what's happening. As a medical doctor, they can assess a fighter from a medical point of view and understand what's going on. So yeah, you have those three lines of defense, but all three of those have to be competent.
When you say that about the referee, and I had a fight. I don't even remember when, but I fought Kenny Keene up in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
I was taking a beating to the body, and finally he just caught me with a solid body shot. I went down on one knee. The referee came over, and he started counting. And I go, God damn it, get to 10. And he just looked at me and go, that's it. And I said,
mm-hmm.
That's it. I mean, that's it. My body, I was done.
Yeah.
There was no macho thing. It was just continue getting hit. I'm going to get hurt. So he did the right thing.
Well, and you know what, Tony, you guys are guardian angels, man.
Yeah.
Because it's a brutal sport, man.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
You always hear, people always say, or some fighters always say, let me go out on my shield. And,
wow.
It's not my job to do that. It's my job to protect you. I would love.
That's a good point.
I would love to let you go out on your shield if possible, but it's not my job to let you go out on your shield. It's my job to protect you. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, and that's, man, perfectly said. I'm sorry, Herman. That's
perfect
not
example.
my job.
Yeah, perfect example. We have a Fernie Morales here in El Paso that was in a coma for a month, and all because of that. Let me go against Canizales.
Yeah,
I think it was Orlando Canizales, and he went through surgery, and now the guy, he doesn't remember the fight, but they retired him for life.
Yeah,
he was never the same again. But I see him all the time, and God, thank God he's here still with us. But that's just something that Hey,
let me ask you something, Tony. So how much? First round fighters come out, and then you see these flash or heavy knockouts, like knockdowns, like brutal. That changes the entire fight if he gets up and continues, correct? You change your thought process because he just got rocked with 30 seconds into the fight, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Of course, like I say, your attention is going to be on the fighter and see how well they can recover. Are their legs on under them? Are they punching back effectively? Are they defending themselves effectively? So it definitely changes a lot. Now, even though it's the first round and they're not taking any hard punishment, but we know in boxing all it takes is one punch.
Yep.
One punch and it changes everything, right?
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, and then again, you're as a ref, you're that guardian angel. You're watching their eyes. You're watching how they react. It's like that Ryan Garcia against Luke Campbell fight. It wasn't in the first round, but man, he got rocked, and we were all watching Ryan how he's going to react, and he gained his marbles back, and of course he was triumphant at the end. But I'm pretty sure, man, that's a lot of pressure. It's steaming to my next question: do the pressures of being a referee is probably, well, not probably, it's very high. Safe to say a stressful job, and should be one of the most stressful jobs. And depending on the type of fight and fighters and the media, you play a vital role in sometimes the outcome and the atmosphere in the ring totally. Tell us about how have you learned to deal with it? Because you say that, I'm not saying it's post-traumatic stress, but you're still talking, you're still thinking about a fight that happened in 2005. Can that affect you too, Tony, in one way or the other?
You know, it can if you let it. The bottom line,
like anything, right?
Yes. You know, I go in and, like I say, understanding sports at an early age, understanding martial arts at an early age. I understand what, or I have the ability to be focused on what I have to do. And a lot of times, like I say, I make certain calls instinctively. So I'm not, I'm not worried about, you know, what the crowd's going to think, or you know, what the fighters or the trainer, whoever is going to think. But I've learned to block all that out. You know, first of all, the general public has no idea what it is to be in that ring. They have no idea what it is. Some of them don't have no idea what it is to be a fighter. No one that has no idea what to be a referee in that ring, and the pressure that you're under. That you
tremendous.
That you have to make this split-second decision, whether to stop a fight or not, or make a call, a correct call or not. But through my experience, through gaining the wisdom through my experience, has helped me, you know, to just maintain focus in that ring. I don't care who's in that ring. You could be the face of boxing, but if it's time for me to stop a fight, I'll have to stop the fight, and we'll deal with it later. But like Tony, I say, it's a tremendous amount of pressure that no one really understands.
You just said it, man. Imagine telling De La Hoya, hey, you can't come out no more. What a pressure, man.
Yeah.
Think about, you know what? One guy that reminds me a lot is that Gerald McClellan. It's like, God, that fight. I mean, you couldn't tell. Oh, they should have stopped. It's just, but I'm sure it weighs heavily on the referee's mind. Like,
oh yeah,
should I have stopped that fight? Because you know, the guy now is, you know, I mean, the guy's can't talk. I mean, he can talk. He just mumbles.
Yeah. So, Tony, so do you like psych yourself out before a big fight? Like, here we go. I mean, the big man upstairs, we ask him for support and guidance, of course. But man, you also got to psych yourself and prepare just like a fighter, correct?
Oh yeah, yes, I do. And if you ever see me when I get in the ring, I say a prayer. You know, I say a prayer for, you know, both fighters, that they come out okay. I say a prayer that to give me the courage to make the right decisions and the right calls. I mean, once again, you feel it, you know, and going back to what I was saying earlier, especially when the crowd is there, you know, 15, 20,000 people, millions watching around the world, you know, you I get hyped, you know. I mean, it was no different when I was playing part one of football or running track or doing martial arts. It's that same type of hype, you know. You're getting ready to perform. You're getting ready for an event. So you know, you want to get that mindset in there, that, you know, this really helps me stay focused. Just what's happening in that ring and not what's going on around the ring or outside the ring.
Yeah, wow, man. Yeah, I mean, and again, once again, you are a guardian angel, Tony.
Thank you. Yeah.
You are, man, to these fighters. And man, I know for me, I know for Herman, very appreciated up on that ring, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, man. Wow, man. So talking about safety and all that right now, tell us a picture that has been so shared on social media the picture that you're on with a bloody shirt, and then people have even put, you don't play boxing. That's a picture. Holy
Yeah.
shit, that's a picture.
Yeah.
What fight
Yeah.
was that, Tony?
That was Badu Jack
That's
and Brown. I believe Brown. Yeah, Badu Jack.
was
Brown.
that the back cut in his eye? Up top
Yes.
of it?
On
That
top of the
massive
forehead.
cut.
On top of the forehead. Yeah. And it was the co-main event to the Pacquiao Adrian Broner fight. And that fight, because of the cut itself and all the blood and everything, it really outshined the main event. And like you say, that photo right there just it's still going viral, and it really depicts what boxing is all about. And because it is blood and guts and everything else. I had no idea I had all that blood on me. I just remember going back to the corner in between rounds, and I'm looking, and like a lot of photographers are looking at me and snapping pictures, and I'm like, what? And I look, oh, whoa, then you see the blood, then okay, I still got to go to work. Let's go,
Yeah, man, what a picture. And like you say, right, Herman? I mean, that's a picture.
Tony, let me ask you a question. The prize fighters, these guys, the big, the big names in boxing, like the Mayweathers, do they decide who they want refereeing their fights? Do they have a say so on that?
I mean, they can have a say
Request?
so. They can request,
Okay.
but it's ultimately up to the commission to assign the referees and all the officials.
Okay.
So they don't. It's up to the promoter of the commission. You said, right?
Yeah, the commission. Yeah.
Wow.
The athletic commission.
So dealing with the fighters and boxers that we've been talking about, right, is one thing. How about dealing with those fans? You mentioned that there was no hecklers this time when COVID hit. You have the fans, and how do you deal with those pressures? Because, like you said, I know you get into that mindset. Is that something when you were being a new ref? Was that intimidating at times with hecklers and people just yelling stupid stuff?
Yeah, early in my career, I really didn't know how to handle it. In terms of just absorbing what they're saying. An incident. I started my career in Phoenix, Arizona, and interesting thing happened to me. I was refereeing a tough man contest, and you had the arena was packed, and you had this one particular fighter who was a fan favorite. He gets knocked down. Okay, he gets up. He's a little unsteady, but he's okay. I'm gonna let you go and let the fight go on. No sooner I let it go, and he gets knocked down again. This time he gets up. He's really wobbly, and I waved the fight off, and the crowd went berserk. Everybody's yelling, throwing money in the ring, throwing this, that in the ring, and I'm like, oh man, my career is done. I went back to my corner. I said I couldn't even look. The commission was to my left.
Were they eyeing you bad?
well, hold on. The commission's to my left, and I'm saying to myself, oh, I can't look down. At the time, the executive director was John Montanio, and I can't look down. I know he's going to snatch me out the ring, and I finally mustered enough courage, and I looked down at him, and he said, "Perfect." And what a relief this came on to me. And I've learned, first of all, forget what the crowd says.
Yeah.
Excuse me. First of all, believe in yourself. The only one you have to answer to is the commission, and forget what the crowd says. So I learned those three things right on that spot. And from that point on, the crowd never bothered me.
Wow.
And he's from Brooklyn. Don't forget
that. That's right. That reminds me. Yeah. Brooklyn almost came out. I when I first came to Las Vegas, and I was doing my first fight in Las Vegas. It was like a 4-round, a 6-round, or somewhere around. At the MGM Grand, there's not too many people there, so you could really hear the hecklers.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what I did. I did something, and this guy kept yelling, "Oh no, another Richard Steele! Oh, you boom, boom!" So I get out the ring, and I go right up. He's like a couple of tiers up there, and I go up to the thing, and I go, "Hey, you like that?" And he just
The
went,
Brooklyn.
yeah. And I stopped, and I thought, I said, "Oh man, no, I shouldn't have done that." I said, "Man," I said, they don't know him, they know me, you know.
Yeah.
Now, if that guy would have came down and we started fighting, and so I learned right then and there, like I say, I learned before, but that really, taught me something because, like I say, uh, I never had it done like that with this guy just yelling, these things and stuff, and he said something else that was kind of racial, so that really, hey,
Yeah.
yeah.
God damn, I'll punch your lights out.
But he folded up, but I said, okay, no. So I never did that. I never did that again.
I mean, you know what? People, like you said, don't know what boxing. The general audience don't know what it really takes to put a show on. All that. I did some ring announcing. That's how I started.
Right.
Some pro fights. I met Herman, and I think Camacho Jr. was on the card, and man, it was my first announcing gig. It went to shit because you know what? I was so nervous up there that I started walking back and forth, and the camera guy's following me on the ring. Ring announcers don't move.
Yeah.
And he told me, "You got to stop, man, because I'm going to fall off the ring."
Yeah.
And people were yelling, and I got nervous. And it's tough, man. People can be vicious, man.
Oh, they can be cruel. They can be really cruel.
And then you mix it with alcohol.
Oh, my God. Forget about it.
Right? Forget about it, man.
Yeah, forget about it now.
And then you also have, once in a while, you have some pretty bad coaches that don't agree with what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. You can have, unfortunately, I've never, I have coaches complain, but I never ran into any coach that was really nasty and bad. I can't remember this guy's name. He was John Luis's trainer, and he was really vulgar. I never experienced it, but he was one guy that really stands out. He was really vulgar against the referee, yelling out all kinds of nasty things and cursing him out, where he had to be removed from the corner. It was that bad. But a lot of times, like I say, I understand. A lot of the coaches, they're trying to look for every edge they can for their fighter. And I understand. My experience and my wisdom tells me, and I understand when he's not really directing that towards me. Is he's trying to get every little thing. I'll give you an example. You can have a coach yell, "Oh, that's slow, that's slow, that's slow," and it's just borderline or whatever. He's trying to bait you in to make a call. And no, you can't do that with me. No, shut up. I got it. Oh, come on, yeah. And because they think by them putting the pressure on you, yelling,
you're gonna break.
And the crowd's gonna go with it. Yeah, he's hitting them low, man. Get it. No.
I mean, and man, and just imagine Herman in a fight. I mean, guys, we have Tony Weeks with us. He's ref Oscar De La Hoya, Manny Pacquiao, Juan Manuel Marquez, Casamayor, Diego Chico Corrales, Jose Luis Castillo, Bayou Jack. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, my friend. What a resume, man. That if anybody knows what they're saying, it's you, my man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. I'm just truly blessed to do what I do. I never grew up saying that I want to be a referee. I love boxing. I just fell into it, and it came to me, and that's the blessing.
So that's what you're meant to do, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what the big Lord, the big man upstairs put you to do, man.
Absolutely.
And in the sport that is a beautiful sport, that is it's a beautiful, it's the sweet science. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
So I guess that leads me to the next question. In the last couple of years, we've heard a lot of talk about how boxing is broken. I'm going to say corrupt. Fighters are not fighting where they're supposed to. MMA is better and taking over. What do you think that people media at times bash the sport so much and seems that there's never satisfied with any fight, any fighter? Has boxing really changed for the worse? I mean, we hear, Canelo fights and oh my God, there's so many haters out there. So do you think, Tony, speaking first of corruption, I know even Dana White, and I know you don't have to answer, all this, but I know Dana White has said a lot of words about boxing. Sometimes he makes sense, sometimes he doesn't. But do you think the sweet science has come crashing down and it's not what it used to be, I guess? What do you think of that, Tony?
Well, it's definitely not what it used to be, but I don't think it's come crashing down. I don't think the corruption's in there. When you look at mixed martial arts, the UFC, there's no middleman. There's a president, and he makes the fights, and they make the fights that the fans want to see.
Yeah,
and that's the bottom line right there. You have the different sanctioning bodies. You have in boxing, different promoters, so forth and so on, and different belts. And it's so hard, for some reason for these guys to get together and make these fights in the prime. I look at the fighters of yesterday going 15 rounds, fighting more than once a year, and is definitely a different era. I can't remember who the fighter was, but he was saying something to the effect that the fighters today is more or less businessmen, and a lot of times, I can understand you want to be paid for what you do. There's no question.
It's a brutal sport, yeah.
Right. There's no question about that. But I remember Mike Tyson said, hey, I wanted to fight everybody. I wanted to know if I could beat that guy, and that's what, fighters of yesterday, a lot of the fighters of yesterday, Hearns, Hagler, Duran, all those guys, they win in these 50-50 fights. And so I want to know if I could beat this guy, I didn't worry about, having an undefeated record or what have you. That's all it is. You just need, for boxing, you have the fighters out there, you have the great talents out there, and we just need to put them all together.
And that's hard because I'm sorry, Herman. Go ahead, Herman.
I think that's where the UFC, I think the UFC says we're going to have this fight, and if the fighter says no, I'm not, bye.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Next.
Absolutely.
So you can't in boxing. You can't. I mean, they got so many promoters and all these organizations.
So do you think maybe that if you said that why we're not making these fights? You think if we had more incentives in boxing, it would be better? For example, let's take a note, and again, I don't know if you can comment on a lot of what I'm saying, Tony, because you're an active ref still, and you got to be kind of neutral, right?
Absolutely.
To a lot of things. I mean, I can imagine the pressures of that too. But for example, the Canelo Yildirim fight, if they would have told Yildirim, hey, we're going to give you a bonus of $5 million more if you make it to the 8th round. Damn, I would have. But you never know. Maybe the safety, I don't know, man. He just didn't come out no more. Yeah. And everybody would say, well, he was right. So he's been paid for. Why is he going to come out? I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying, if it was more incentive for the fighters, I don't know. I mean, maybe we would see more fights being made. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah. Who knows? Like I say, the bottom line is give the fans the fights that they want to see.
That's tough, Tony.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I know there's a lot of big fights that want to be made in this year, but haven't been made. And I know there's a lot of good fights too coming up. We got the Jorge Linares, David Haney fight. I know Ryan Garcia's fighting Javier Fortuna. I mean, it's a tuna fight for Ryan. I like Ryan. I mean, he's a real good upcoming, and I like him for a lot of reasons because he's good for boxing. He's the face of boxing. He's charismatic. He's a good-looking kid. And we need fighters like that. Look at Canelo. Canelo's been real busy giving us fights time after time, and he's going to fight Billy Joe Saunders. And hopefully after this, we get the big names, right? The Charlo brothers, the Benavides. I don't know. It should be very interesting.
Yeah.
Tony, let me ask you, the amateur world, did you ref amateur boxing or was just pro?
Actually, when I started in Phoenix, I went straight to the professional ranks.
Wow.
And well, it's a long story behind that, but I went straight to the professional ranks. And when I moved to Las Vegas, in order to stay in tune with boxing, I started doing amateur fights. When I came here to Arizona, I mean, I came to Las Vegas, but I would go back and forth to Arizona and do fights, pro fights to stay in tune with everything. But
Tony,
yeah,
but is that awesome, man? Refereeing the little kids, awesome, huh?
oh yeah, they seen
Awesome,
the little
man.
guys go at it,
Right, right.
yeah, they show the heart, and
Oh my
actually
God.
you can see some of the talent in
Oh my
these
God.
kids. Yeah, oh, yeah.
You know, they get up there. It takes a lot of cojones as
Mm-hmm.
an 8-year-old to get up there and just fight.
Yeah.
What a beautiful
Yeah.
sport, man.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
What advice would you give a local boxing commission and Golden Gloves organization about recruiting athletes into boxing and bring them into local gyms? Before the show, we were talking about how the generations have changed.
Mm-hmm.
It's tougher to fill in these gyms.
Yeah.
I own a gym, and the kids just, I mean, they don't fight at school no more because it's
Yeah.
bullying, or they don't. What
Yeah.
advice would you give, Tony, for these local boxing commissions to recruit?
Well, maybe you have to go out there and actively recruit these kids,
Right.
and going to make an appearance at these centers and small gyms and what have you. Bring some of the big name fighters in, so these young kids can see these guys up close and
Right.
personal.
It's hard to bring these big fighters.
Yeah, and and then that's where the motivation comes in. These guys are motivated. These young kids get motivated by seeing these guys up close and personal, and having these guys talk to them and telling them what the business is all about, and how they can become great fighters, and what they need to do, so forth and so on. That's the only thing that I can really think of at this time, that just actively going out to these small gyms and really, I've gone around when I go to either different countries or different states. I go to a lot of the small local boxing gyms, and the reaction of the fighters and everybody. Oh, Tony Weeks is here. He's in. That motivates kids. Here's this guy. We see him on TV doing the big name
Famous
fights.
guy.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And they get motivated, and just like you said with your son, but the same thing could happen with these fighters. These fighters, can go into these gyms, go into the schools, community centers, and talk to the kids and motivate the kids to do something, and let them know and understand the importance of physical fitness and being in shape. Not just being, a fighter. Everybody can't be a fighter. Everybody can't be a world champion, but everybody can be in shape.
So yeah,
there you go.
Yeah. What's that, Herman?
I say there you go. Everybody can be in shape. No excuses.
I mean, Tony, and we're almost wrapping up our show, man. It's awesome to have you, man, and your words. What a great entry I've had, man. I've enjoyed every minute of it, my friend.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure. My honor.
And it's going to be
before
awesome.
we go any further, Tony, I got my little Brooklyn in the corner. Look, my Yankees and Jets helmet.
I seen it. I was going to say something. I seen it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But I'm a Giants guy. But I like Joe Namath.
Oh yeah, you can't go wrong with Broadway Joe.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with that. So as everything goes back to normality, football, everything. Hopefully, Tony, are you lining up for any big fight soon, Tony?
Well, we have a couple of fights coming up in May. So we'll see what happens there, and we'll see what happens when it really starts to open up again, and the fans start to come back in, and the fights start to come back here to Vegas.
And Tony, you mentioned that when you go to other states, my friend, that you have a home here. Warriors Edge Boxing. Please stop by, man.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
All right,
yes.
Please stop by and come visit us. I know you've been here in El Paso before, right? Or is that the only time you have been here?
No, no, I've been to El Paso before. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. As I
Have
have.
you have you ate the food here? You like Mexican food?
Yes.
Where did you eat here? You don't remember?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, my favorite is the regular plain cheese enchiladas.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Hey, what
Pop,
if you?
Papas and frijoles.
All right, if you come, man, we'll cook for you, Tony. All right.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds great. That sounds
You
great.
got it.
Appreciate it.
Hey, so we're gonna play rapid fire. 10 questions for you. Is that okay, Tony?
That's fine.
All right, my friends. We're here, folks, at the Web Boxing 101 from the installations here at Warriors Edge Boxing with the Hall of Famer, the legendary Mr. Tony Weeks. Number one, best boxing movie, Tony.
Oh, Ali.
Oh, Ali, good.
Yeah.
Your top fight that you have refereed.
Corrales Castillo.
Yeah, I'm gonna go watch it right now. Because of the pandemic, 2020 was a challenging year, and I keep asking this question. I'm going to tell you, what was your 2020 fighter of the year?
Wow.
And it's challenging because of the COVID.
Yes, I mean it's very challenging. That's a hard one. That's a hard one to say. I'm going to say all the fighters that fought in 2020. Yeah,
I'm going to say the fighter that started the 2020, which was Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder.
Yeah,
that started everything, and then after that, everything went downhill.
Yes,
and yeah, you're right, man. It can be all of them because you know what, man. I think as a nation, we found out who we are. Our true determination and grit came out. Mm-hmm. And as a nation, despite the ignorance of some people in this great nation, there's still good people remain like us and yourself, Tony.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, continuing the rapid fire with Tony Weeks, name one thing that people don't know about you.
I'm a singer.
Are you a country singer?
I can do it all, but I'm old school rhythm and blues.
Hey, but we're not talking about in the shower, Tony. Are you a real singer?
Yeah, we have a group here in Vegas that, of course, we can't really rehearse right now because of the pandemic thing, but yeah, we do a lot, the rhythm and blues thing. And
that's cool, man.
Actually, a few years back, I did something with the referees here at the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame. You can actually look it up and you'll see we performed. Yeah.
Good. Is Kenny Bayless with you?
He was one of the guys that's in there.
Yeah, I think I've seen it. Is Kenny from Las Vegas too?
No, Kenny's from Berkeley, California.
Oh, okay. Another good ref, man. He has been in so many fights too, man.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
If you can bring back one fighter that is no longer with us on Earth and see him or her fight one last time, who would it be, man? Or even
Ali.
ref? How about ref?
Ali.
Really?
The first Ali Frazier fight.
Woo!
Imagine you would have ref that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
That'd be good, huh? One thing that you would change in boxing right now.
Wow. One thing I would change in boxing, the negotiations.
All right. Leading up to the fight or make the fights happen, huh?
Yeah. Yes.
One thing that you would add in boxing.
The fans, bring them back.
They're coming back, Tony. They're coming back, buddy.
Yeah. Okay.
We should have a fan appreciation.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Last question for Tony Weeks before we sign off on this beautiful Friday night. What weight division do you prefer to ref?
I like the heavyweights. I like the heavyweights.
Why?
Well, those guys, of course, the lighter weights, they're all around the place. They got so much of this nonstop energy. The big guys, they have to really pace themselves. And I mean, you can have some fighters that can maintain a good pace in the fight, but usually those guys is a little more easy to manage. I mean, I'm strong enough to pull them apart and work with them, so I'm good. And
right now, the heavyweight division is Dylan White, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury. I think Tony and Herman, by the end of the year, we're going to see a huge heavyweight fight, and that's going to kick us into 2022, I believe.
I hope so.
Yeah,
big heavyweights, and I hope to see you soon, Tony,
Thank you.
live or in the next fight card. Herman, you have any last words for Tony?
Yeah, Tony mentioned that he's a singer, and now I can't get Larry Holmes out of my mind. Watching him in this documentary when he was rapping, you got to see that tree. It's
I
funny.
will see it, man.
I gotta see
will
Larry
see
Holmes,
it.
stick to boxing, buddy.
Tony, can I ask you for a favor, my friend?
Yes.
Before we send you off, can you just say hello to my Sheriff's Academy class? Just say them a shout out and to all the kids you're at the gym.
I want to give a shout out to the Sheriff's Academy class, all the kids in the gym. Understand the blessings that you have. Understand the people who are putting this thing together for you guys, the trainers, the coaches, everybody who's involved. It's all a team effort, and it's all for you and all for your future. God bless.
Folks, with that, what a way to send us off, man. Tony, it's been an absolute pleasure and an honor, my friend.
My pleasure.
Thank you,
God
Tony.
bless. May God bless you and your family, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless you guys too.
Now when there's fights, I don't care who's fighting. I'm gonna say is Tony Weeks the referee.
Yeah.
There you go.
I talked to Tony.
Thanks,
Weeks,
Tony.
Man. Thanks,
Yeah.
Tony. Have a great night, my friend.
God bless
Thank
you.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys later. This has been the podcast, folks, with Mr. Tony Weeks. It's been an absolute pleasure. Terman, what a podcast, man, with that guy, right?
Oh man, we had a legend in the same screen with me, man.
We had a legend, incredible legend. I mean, just a guy. I mean, he's an encyclopedia of boxing. Just a guy that just
What a humble man. What a humble man.
I mean, and you know what, Herman? Just the fact that he's been, he's been on the ring with so many legends, man.
But you know what? He was like that here on the screen, but we met him in person, and he's even a nicer person in person. Just a great human being, just an awesome man.
Just before we sign off, Herman, we're gonna just go ahead and say a shout out to all our listeners. We have Bob E. Midnight Poet. I'm late, but I'm here.
Poet.
He just signed his kid with me at the gym. He was commenting. Honestly, believe he done the right thing by stopping the fight. Talking about the Corrales and Castillo fight. Never give up. Samantha Lechuga, some of my cadets. Hello. 21-01, my cadet class will be graduating next Friday. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Are those the guys that invited me to the barbecue?
Yeah, those are the ones that you took pictures of, Herman.
The rest. Oh, okay. I just gotta make sure I have my wrestling mask.
Yeah, they're the ones that, and then they're the ones that ran the blue line for fallen officer.
Awesome.
Adamid Jr. He's a good friend of mine from Brazil. Mr. Severo as well. Trained those guys out there. Poet came back and said Ryan came back with style to fight when he fought Luke Campbell. And then we got Tocayo, Mr. Weeks, great show.
Tocayo, you're the man, brother.
Right. Samantha Morales, Trevino, best instructor ever, man. They bunch of kids' asses, man. On Boucher, motivated, dedicated, hardcore. We sing in our cadet class. Miss Boucher got bit by that dog right there.
Oh man!
Almost got her arm ripped off.
By that little dog?
Yeah. No, it was. Well, I hope it was. She said it was a big dog, but I bet you it was that one. And then Andres Peter, thank you, Tony Boucher, thank you, all my cadet class, thank you guys, the Indendables. It's a hard name, but Herman, going back to
I'll see you guys on the 15th, man. Cadet cookout.
Yeah, the 15th. You'll be there, Herman, right?
Oh, hell yeah. Going back to
man.
What?
So we're going back to just to sign off now. What a Tony Weeks. That
was cool.
That was cool to interview him, man, and just have him on the show. A legend to take time to talk to us here at the podcast, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the last note, Herman, I want to go ahead.
I hope the kids are listening to him. We're listening in on the podcast because he had some very encouraging words and some positive words for all these kids today. So I hope they take something from that.
And on that note said, Herman, just want to say that, you know what, man, it's so important to be loyal to something that you believe in.
Absolutely.
Man.
Loyalty.
In the sport that's so cutthroat, in the sport of boxing that's so cutthroat, let's just try to stay loyal to people and not
loyal, committed, and respectful.
Loyal, committed, and respectful, right?
Absolutely.
She just put indelibles. I'm sorry. Indelibles is the class name.
Oh, that's the name of the
The
cadets?
class. Yeah, the class. Fox is planning an April 24th pay-per-view between former heavyweight champion Andy Reese and former title challenger Chris Arella coming up. That should be an interesting fight. And then also our good friend Herman Brian Vera is going to be fighting next week,
Next
April
week.
17th. I know I've been seeing that we've interviewed him too.
Where's
And
he
I
fighting
see him.
at?
I don't know. I'm going to talk to him this week, or if you can talk to him, Herman, and see if we can put him where he's going to fight at. But he's getting ready. He looks
I'll
great.
find out.
He looks great, man. Good luck to you, Brian. For good luck on your big fight for that silver super middleweight title. Herman, any last words for people? We're good to go.
That's it. Good night, people. God bless you all, and I'll see you at the cookout on the 15th. I got it circled around my calendar.
All the cadets, man. This has been my show, guys. Web Boxing 101. The podcast is going to be on Spotify already tomorrow. You saw it on the Boxing Reporter as well. So we're signing off here from the installations of the Warriors Edge Boxing Gym in El Paso, Texas. Have a great night, folks. And like I've always said, man, anything you do, you put God first. So long, everybody.
Hoo-yah!